Pat Welsh's parents were both in the movie business. Her mother starred in several English movies in the 30s, which were produced by her father. The couple eventually divorced, but both emigrated to the United States. In 1939, when Pat was 10, she and her brother John also came to the States. They lived with their mom and stepdad on a farm in Pennsylvania. In '45, the family moved to Los Angeles, and 2 years later, Pat graduated from Hollywood High School. Pat went to Scripps College in Claremont, outside Los Angeles. While in college, she met Lewis Welsh, a former Navy officer and a young lawyer. They were married in '51, on the day of her college graduation, and the couple moved to Del Mar in 1956. They lived next to Lou's parents, and both families had unique homes designed by Lou's stepfather, John Lloyd Wright, the son of iconic architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Pat's home still reflects the unique design of the Wright architecture. Pat and Lou had two daughters, Francesca and Wendy. Both daughters are married and have children. Lou was a well-known figure in San Diego in his own right. As a Superior Court judge in the 70s, he issued the rulings that helped integrate San Diego City schools. Lou passed away in 1996. While their daughters were growing up, Pat was a stay-at-home mom and transformed her Del Mar garden. At the time, when Lou was traveling for his practice and was out of town a lot, and you were here raising your daughters, you took an interest in what was native and what would grow here.
Well, I took a great interest in plants. And in those days, there was loads of water, so they told us.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of trees here. So I grew a lot of things in the shade. Very few California native plants grow well in the shade. There are a few.
And how did you come to transform this into a San Diego garden?
It happened by degrees. It began as a very beautiful piece of property with a very good feeling, and John Lloyd Wright added to it by creating, by bulldozing the earth from the house, which was in a bank, so to speak, bulldozing that out and creating this patio and making it in a rather unusual shape and building that earth berm. Mm-hmm. So it began as an interesting space, and then I had to learn what things to plant here that would grow, and also how to augment and improve the soil.
So in time, you get this reputation as someone who's really dialed into what grows around here and what looks good around here, so much so that Peter Jensen, who is quite famous among local magazine writers and gardeners, called you the Julia Child of gardening.
Well, that was kind of Peter.
Was it just because of the accent?
I don't know. I think it's the way I threw the manure around when I did demos and stuff.
Yeah.
People often said to me when I gave those talks and demos I gave that, "Oh, Pat, you should be on television." But I would always say, "Yeah, I agree, but I haven't the vaguest idea how to get there." You know, I wouldn't know how to get on television, so it all happened by accident.
Yeah, and I think what they were saying is that, you know, Pat, you have such great energy and seem to have such a great joy from this that it'll translate really well. But you did. You just had so much energy, and that always came through.
Yeah. Yes. And the know-how behind it, I think.
Yeah. So now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. I want you to take us through the Pat Welsh gardening philosophy. I mean, if I gave you a patch of dirt, a side yard or a front yard, you know, how do you go about helping me create a Pat Welsh garden?
The one thing that I would say right off is that years ago I used to think, I didn't like that word hardscape. And I didn't like the fact that so many landscape architects, the first thing they do is do hardscape. But now as I've grown older, I find out what hardscape to me is enormously important.
What is it?
Well, it's all the structures in your garden, and structures are enormously important. For example, the paths that either wind or go straight through your garden take you to where you're going. And as you walk down a path, you always want to have a destination. So a path shouldn't just wander around going nowhere. You want it to go somewhere. Secondly, the structures that go up in the air. It's not just the trees, but I think of a garden as being like rooms, as being an extension of your house. And in my gardens, I like there to be various rooms, not just one. And the rooms have walls. And the walls can be plants, they can be climbers, they can be structures, they can be trellises. And then how about the roof? The roof also in a room. You could have under a tree looking up. It can be the blue sky in certain areas, or it can be a lath structure as we have over our heads here, or it can be a pergola or an arbor. So that brings us to seating. Sometimes I'll go to gardens and there's nowhere to sit. All you do is walk around. Those people never go out in their garden. It's just something to look at. So I believe in having many chairs, comfortable places to sit, all over the garden, and benches, in hidden places, and in open places, and room for the whole family to be out there, and tables to have all your families and your friends, and, a big long table under a pergola to seat your whole family. This is living in the garden. Unless you have the furniture, you can't have the use of the garden. So yes, and artwork also. I'm an artist, so I put artwork in my garden, and lately for me it's been multimedia murals. I built them first in this garden, and pavement to go with it. I mean, I got the idea from Gaudi. I went to Barcelona twice. I came home and I found myself building murals.
So you do that as part of the artwork and the sculpture that is part of your garden?
Yes, yeah. And so beautifying the garden. And another thing is we live in a Mediterranean climate and should save water. And the patio is so much a part of Southern California gardening. So I believe in not just having one patio, but if possible, have two patios. One which is used in winter, which is out of the wind, secluded, comfortable, and another one where it might be windy, but it's your summer patio.